Well, thank you, Speaker, and congratulations again on your recent appointment. Well, we want to get this debate back on track after that 6 or 7 or so minutes. And you know what, Speaker? It was just last week that I stood before this House to discuss the looming black cloud hanging over this province, Ontario's crippling debt. Truth be told, I find it rather unfortunate that, in fact, I have to stand here yet again weekly, simply because the Liberal government keeps making the same fiscal mistakes over and over and over and over again. But the reality is this, Speaker, we are in severe debt. $308 billion in debt. So as unfortunate as it is that I have to stand here and discuss this issue again, this discussion is worth having, and tangible solutions to ensure things do not get worse are absolutely necessary. Speaker, although $308 billion is a large number, it's almost too large to wrap your head around. My colleague's bill could not be any simpler. Let me break it down. Its numbers for you. It's roughly 4 sentences long. It asks for one amendment. It gets straight to the point, and so will I. What we are asking for today is that the government of the day, whomever it is, not be allowed to take out a loan, if it would then cause Ontario's debt to exceed 45% of its GDP. To get even more to the point, we're asking for a debt cap, a cap on our debt. That is it. That is all. Period. Today, I am proud to stand with my colleague from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex, and speak in favour of his bill, which demands a credible plan to balance the books and pay down the debt. It puts the Premier and her government on a firm credit limit on behalf of everyone we represent, and everyone they represent, the Ontario taxpayer. The fact is, Speaker, this year, according to the Wynne Government's own projections, interest on debt payments will cost Ontario taxpayers $1 billion every single month. $1 billion. This government's fiscal mismanagement means more spending to pay down more debt interest. It means that 9 cents out of every tax dollar collected by the provincial government is revenue is being spent on interest payments. On that note, let's talk about those interest rates and why my colleague's bill is so timely. An important fact to consider is that at this moment, interest rates are at a historical low level. A return to more normal levels would jeopardize promises for balanced budgets. It would also increase the money this province spends on debt interest payments. Speaker, the Fraser Institute conducted a projected analysis of this province's debt interest payments based on 2 scenarios. In both scenarios, the interest rates we currently receive, which again are historically low, return to more normal levels. The interest rate shocks described by Scenario 1, where rates rise from a baseline of 2.7 to 3.5% next year and up to 4.5% by 2019-2020, would increase Ontario's projected deficit by $264 million next year and would completely derail the Premier's campaign promise of balancing the budget by the 2018 election. In the second scenario, where rates rise up to 5% by 2020, Ontario's deficit would increase by $616 million in the 2016-27 year. And the campaign promise of a balanced budget by 2018 would not only not be met, a broken promise, but it would be replaced by an increased deficit of nearly $1 billion. In just 4 short years, Ontario's interest costs would rise by $500 million in Scenario 1 and to almost $1.2 billion in Scenario 2. Speaker, these scenarios are not unrealistic. Many economists are warning of an increase in overall interest rates in the near future. If we think that our current state, being the most indebted subnational borrower in the world, is bad, we may only be seeing the tip of the iceberg. The reality is frightening. It's frightening to me as a member of this House. It's frightening to the people I represent. It's frightening to me as a father, because it will be our children and our grandchildren that are paying for this government's fiscal mismanagement. Speaker, my colleagues' ask is simple. Everyone has a budget they have to live on. Everyone has to live within their means. We are simply asking this government to do the same. The situation is something like a teenager who has borrowed their parents' credit card without permission and gone overboard with spending. Consequently, that teenager needs to be reined in. They need to reflect on the poor choices they've made. emphasis on the poor because, well, that's what this province is right now. So, Speaker, I appreciate my colleagues' energy and efforts to bring this forward, and I thank you for your time.